Mary meet Aries. Aries sun sign, rising sign, and or moon sign. This is a 2-week reading for all Aries starting today, the 19th of February, 2025. This is Ariel, and today I'm reading with this beautiful recreation of the Miller 1780 tarot from Besançon. That Switzerland, France border is where that originated. And I've already purified with the Agua de Colonia Concentrada by Alvarez Gomez. And you can find the links to purchase these products right in the video description of this video here on YouTube. Let's see what's in the cards for all you gorgeous Aries. We start out with the Knight of Swords. That's totally me. The Three of Swords, that's totally me. This is my reading. And then we've got the Six of Cups, thank goodness, right? So dealing with loss and grief. So some of us are going through, the death of a loved one. Some of us are going through breakups or death of a relationship. And others are going through maybe what might seem like more minor losses. If you're going through one of the minor losses, you don't need to diminish what you're feeling by comparing it against, a so-called major loss. If you're feeling what you're feeling, you're feeling what you're feeling. And you need to go through the type of grieving that you got to go through no matter what your loss is. So this is a time of loss, but the good news about the time of loss is that it's not forever. It does pass. And when it passes, there's a lot of good in its wake. What you have to avoid is being hooked into people's drama right now. And I failed at that this morning, but it's okay. We always get a second chance. We always get more than a second chance. We always get infinite chances to do it right. And so, when we notice that we're getting sucked into somebody's drama, we're getting pulled into whatever their stuff is that really doesn't belong to us. If it happens, it's good for us to recognize it and shake off the dust and move away from it. If it doesn't happen, we have to remind ourselves to avoid getting pulled into that. Nothing good comes from that. Now, it's a lot of times when you're going through loss or grief, you're more susceptible to that because you're emotionally a lot more vulnerable. And you don't need to be, though. You don't need to be. You can ask for protection. And you can even just visualize protection for yourself. Or what this Six of Cups is talking about, you can work with that solar light. If you're working with that solar light, even if you're going through grief, even if you're going through weird stuff with other people, the circumstances in your life can rearrange themselves so that they start to conform to the divine design. Because if you're going through grief, you still have a positive role to play in that grief. You still have some positive presence in all of that. There's some good that comes out of that. It's not just grief for grief's sake. There's good that comes out of that. So, and you don't need to figure that out. But if you go with that divine design, if you do that solar light, like if you want to do the solar light meditation like I teach it, you can just go onto YouTube, into the search of YouTube and search Gatoga Solar Light and listen to one of the two meditations that come up. They're both very brief, and learn that process and go through it. And that keeps you protected, keeps you safe, and you're less inclined to get sucked into the problems. You're less inclined to allow the grief to envelop you in a negative way. It's not about avoiding the grief, but it is also about walking through your grief in a way that's going to be as healthy as possible for you. Because sometimes grief really takes its toll on us, and it doesn't need to. You can grieve without destroying yourself. 7 of Coins, 2 of Cups, and 6 of another solar light. So it's all about the solar light. The solar light is what your future's all about. Don't worry about what's coming. Don't worry about what's next. Let that be with the solar light, and let the solar light take care of it. Also, don't be impatient with yourself. How long is this going to take? How come this grief is lasting so long? Or being impatient with other people which is another thing that can happen. Still, I think of that absolutely fabulous episode when Eddie's father dies, and Eddie's daughter is really bereaved, and Eddie doesn't have any grief. And like the next day, the daughter's crying. She says, "What's wrong?" The day after the grandfather died, and she said, "My grandfather died. I'm sad." And she goes, "Still?" So you don't want to be like Eddie. You want to let people take as long as they need to take if they're going through what they're going through. And you need to also give yourself the same grace to let yourself go through what you're going through, and there's no rush. And the more you rush, the more it persists. The more it persists. There's no flow if you're rushing. Everything kind of puts the brakes on itself. Now, even within the issues with other people, there is beauty. So it's also telling you what you can do to help when you're feeling like you're getting sucked into people's drama. And it's talking about in the physical world, the coins are all physical, find something beautiful. But you can make beauty in any situation. You can make it a little prettier. You can find some flowers. You can do your hair differently. You can do something to spruce it up. Or you can also spruce up their environment a little bit if that's a part of your relationship with them. Rather than getting sucked into their drama, do something to make their lives a little prettier, a little nicer. You know, you don't need to necessarily avoid people to not get sucked into their drama, but you can relate to them differently. So this 7 of coins is all about beautifying your environment and your person, and beautifying the environment of the physical world in general. So that, for some reason or another, is being talked about here as the response to when somebody's trying to pull you into their nonsense. Instead of avoiding them completely, instead of even fighting back or getting sucked into it, find a way to beautify the environment. Interesting. Okay, so now these 6s here are really literally doubling down on the solar light. The solar light's going to help with the grief, and the solar light's going to definitely help with your emotions. The solar light's going to help with any conflicts or resentments. So it's whatever you're going through is one of those times in life when things are just sensitive and things are problematic, and this too shall pass, but it doesn't need to eat you alive. In fact, you can become even stronger as a result of all of this. You can become wiser, and you can actually propel yourself farther spiritually by going through this, walking in the solar light rather than trying to do it all by yourself. Finding beauty where you can and creating beauty where you can, rather than resenting people or getting annoyed with people's behavior or trying to rush them or rush yourself. Finding some compassion, yet some distance when necessary. Leaving people alone when necessary. Now, if you're dealing with people that are going through stuff right now, and their tendency is to suck you into a drama, leave them alone. Leave them alone. Send them some flowers. Do something like that. But let them be if you can. Sometimes that's just a sign to you from the universe, not now. Leave them alone. Let them be. And then you take care of you, because you've got your own stuff you're going through. Aries, you've got your own stuff you're going through, and you're going to come out of this beautifully. You're going to come out of this beautifully, but there's no rushing it. There's no rushing it. It's just what it is. Now, some of you, like I said, aren't going through as major of a loss as others. Some of you, it might just be a little thing, or what you perceive to be a little thing. But like I said before, don't diminish it. Don't say, well, this is no big deal. Hurry up, just push through this, Aries. No. You let yourself be where you are and let yourself feel what you're feeling. You've got to complete the feeling. You've got to complete the experience. Calling on that solar light is your best tool right now. And you want to do it no matter what. In fact, you could live in the solar light probably for the next 2 weeks. Just like, okay, what do? I'm going to get up. I'm going to do the solar light. Or it doesn't have to be that exercise. Anything that you can do to put you in contact with your higher power to the point where you say, I'm not in charge of this, that there's a higher power that is part of the divine design of my life that's going to rearrange things for me. That's who's in charge of this. And I'm going to ask that power to be in charge of everything for right now, because I'm not capable. No matter what you're going through, whether you perceive it to be a big thing or a small thing. See, if you're perceiving it to be a small thing, it's probably because you're being impatient with yourself, saying, what's the big deal? Move through this. What's the problem? And that's not helpful. And it's not kind to yourself. It's okay to be kind to yourself, Aries. You don't always have to push yourself through stuff. And right now, don't push yourself through anything. Let yourself be where you are and get some help from those higher planes that's right there ready to help you at all moments of time and all points of space. No matter where you are, no matter what's happening, there's a way through it in a very gracious manner. You can get through anything very graciously. And your graciousness is your blessing. And a lot of people don't think of Aries as a gracious sign, but you really are. You really have a lot of graciousness. Look at how well you do things, how quickly you get over things, how you don't hold a lot of grudges and stuff. That's called grace. And you have a lot of that. So let the graciousness of the universe do that for you right now. And you don't push yourself. You let yourself be where you are. And you're going to do just wonderfully. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I so appreciate you. We will see everybody, all of you Aries, for another reading in 2 weeks. Until then, blessed be.